So Miss Ann, go ahead.
All right, he started recording. Okay, everyone. Welcome to Transfer 101, the basics, all things you need to know as it relates to transfer. So thank you for bearing with us as we navigate streaming this workshop via Teams into your classroom for the first time. And those of you that are joining us outside the classroom, thank you for joining us. Please know that this is being recorded, so feel free to reach out if you would like a copy of the recording or the PowerPoint. My name is Ann Gamble, and I'm the Director of Transfer and Degree Acceleration. But I am also a CCBC transfer graduate, class of 2004. And so the information we've put together here for you today is really a representation of our passion for transfer. We want to make sure that you have as a positive experience as possible. And so I am joined by...
Hi, good evening. I'm Courtney Topolsky. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Services and the Transfer Coordinator on our Dundalk campus. And I have been with CCBC for almost 16 years and have worked at UMBC, University of Maryland, Northern Illinois University, North Carolina State. So I have quite the background in university and college work.
So we're going to try to cover as much as we can so that you feel more confident as you embark upon this process. And it is a process. So our goals today, there's quite a few, but we're going to cover a lot of general information, but important transfer related information. We're going to cover a lot of general, but important transfer related information in a short amount of time. And to ensure we get through slides, if you could please hold your questions to the end, or you can type them into the chat, but we're going to hold them into the end to make sure that we get through. And if we run out of time, you can send us your questions, and we have our contact information at the end. And by the end of this presentation, we really want you to understand why you should earn your CCBC degree before transferring. If you leave with nothing else, that's the most important thing we want you to take away from this. There are many, many benefits to earning your degree before you transfer. Then we really want you to become familiar with the three-step transfer process, and so we're going to spell that out for you. We want you to know the key information needed for a successful transfer experience. Learn about the different resources available to assist you during the transfer process, and then finally become knowledgeable about how financial aid and scholarships can help you pay for your education. And so we're going to go over the general information, but then throughout the semester, as we have these Transfer Tuesdays, we're going to dig deeper. So we hope you'll come back and join us for future Transfer Tuesday sessions. Okay, so now jumping right in, as I mentioned, completing your CCBC degree before transferring is the most important thing, but why? Maybe no one's ever told you that. So earning an associate degree decreases the overall cost of your education. That's simply because the cost per credit at CCBC is significantly less than the cost per credit at any four-year school, even looking at Coppin State University, which has the lowest cost per credit in the state of Maryland. So, and then you have things like transfer partnerships, like guaranteed admissions, dual admissions, which we'll go into, and articulation agreements. They incentivize associate degree completion and come with a host of benefits that just don't apply when you transfer before completing your degree. An associate's degree, when transferred to any Maryland public, note I said public, institution, will satisfy most lower level general education requirements. And so as part of your degree program, you're going to have specific requirements. Many of them will be general education requirements. So that makes it easier to enter as a junior. So you want junior status because there's more benefits associated with that, such as registration, housing, those kinds of things. And then we want to minimize the loss of credits and ensure timely graduation. So those are all associated with completing an associate's degree prior to transfer. An earned associate's degree could help you get a job or a promotion right now instead of waiting to complete your bachelor's degree, thereby putting more money in your pocket. And then finally, there's great value in earning a marketable credential, because a lot can happen and change. We saw what COVID did. And so, being able to walk away with a degree in hand, carries a lot of value. So to simplify the process, we've distilled the transfer process down into 3 steps, and we'll go over each of those steps, starting with exploring, then preparing, and then finally applying. So kicking off with the exploration phase. So this is what you do when you have between 0 to 12 credits. So really your first semester if you're full-time, maybe your first and second semester if you're part-time. So you really want to think about, what is it that you want from a transfer institution? What are you studying? So you want to look at institutions that have your program or something that aligns with your program. So, that's really important. So like that's probably the first, check on the box you want to make. Then location. Do you want to be somewhere rural? Do you want to be somewhere urban? Do you want to be somewhere suburban? Do you want to be like me and you want to go all the way across the country and the Pacific and go to an island? Like Hawaii, that's what I did. That's where I wanted to be, or so I thought. And so really thinking about what's the ideal location for you. And then do you want a big school, a small school, a medium-sized school? So those are really important factors, and that helps you begin to narrow down what it is that you really want. Additional considerations, of course, cost, but cost isn't everything, because you have to consider it in the context of things like financial aid and scholarship opportunities. So you don't always want to count out private and independent colleges that are more expensive, because they often also have a lot of financial aid and scholarship opportunities. Availability of housing. Do you want to live on campus? If you do, not all transfer institutions have housing for transfer students. And so finding that out early on, or do they have a really, supportive off-campus housing office? And, how does that work? So those kinds of things you want to consider. Athletics. Are you somebody that plans to play, or somebody that really wants to root for your home team? Things to really think about. What the campus life looks like. If you're very invested in your career and you're going to need an internship, what are the internship opportunities? If you have to go on and earn a master's or, PhD or EDD, like, is there opportunities for graduate programs? Accreditation, while that's sort of a background issue, you want to make sure whatever school that you're looking at is accredited, so that that those credits are transferable and are going to be considered credible when it comes time to apply for a job. So these are just some of the things that you'll want to think about early on. And so building onto that, how do you begin looking into your options? So really starting with attending transfer events like Transfer 101. You want to attend transfer fairs. You want to attend them each semester, and each time you're going to attend with a different frame of reference. You're going the first time to just see who's there. What are the options? Maybe collect some free swag. Maybe you get some brochures. See who has your major. And then the second time, maybe you go and you have your questions, and you want to know more about cost and financial aid and housing and those sort of things. And then, the third time around, you might want to know about their deadlines for, the various deadlines that we'll talk about later, and what the application process looks like. And so you want to build on this. On-campus recruiter visits, we call them tabletop visits here, but we have campus, we have four-year partner recruiters come on campus all the time. You'll usually see them outside of academic advisement or in the cafe. And so they, that gives you the opportunity to have that one-on-one time and ask your questions if maybe, going to a transfer fair seems so overwhelming because there's so many people standing there trying to ask, questions. That's why we came up with Transfer Tuesdays, and we've now made them virtual so that, you can just join us. And if you can't, you can ask for the recording. And then for out-of-state schools, really doing a web search to determine which schools have your major and doing some outreach. And now I want to show you our newest initiative. Thank you, Courtney. Dual admissions, which through our program, Degrees to Succeed, it's really the new way to think about transfer. So the idea is you all are new to CCBC, and we want to get you on a transfer pathway so that the whole experience is much more supportive, inclusive, and you feel connected to your 4-year. We want you to complete your degree at CCBC and feel good about the transfer school that you're going to attend. So the idea is you're one student who's a part of 2 institutions and you have one experience. And so you're duly admitted to both CCBC and one of our partners, and that partner list is going to continue to grow. We're just launching this semester. And you know, we want to save you time, we want to save you money, we want to help you reach your educational and your career goals, and we want to wrap our arms around you and support you, because we know the more engaged you are, the more supported you feel here at CCBC, the more likely you're going to complete your degree here, go on to your transfer institution and do well, and then go off into the world and, you know, be something great, whatever that is, whatever that means to you. And so what's great is you're guaranteed admission to both institutions, which is, you know, pretty fantastic. Now, of course, there are some programs where if, you know, it's a competitive program, you'll still have to go through that competitive process, but still that like takes the worry out of the equation if you don't have to worry about getting into the school that you really want to go to, particularly if you know, I definitely want to go to UMBC, which is an honors college, which is competitive. You know, then that takes the anxiety away. You get access to 4-year partner campus resources and student experiences. So you get off of CCBC's campus and you get onto UMBC's campus and you learn your way around, you attend events, you meet people, and, you know, it just makes for a much smoother transition from CCBC because you're already going to know your way around, you're already going to know people. You're going to have an advisor from CCBC, you're going to have an advisor from UMBC or whichever the partner you choose. And that's going to help you stay on track with your classes so that you're prepared when you get there. You know, again, it's just streamlining that process. And then in all instances, there's some type of a financial incentive or scholarship opportunity available. You're guaranteed junior status, so that's not sophomore status, not second semester sophomore status, but junior standing once you've completed your degree at CCBC. And as long as you're enrolled in an Associate of Arts program or an Associate of Science degree program, and we're going to talk about the differences between our different program types, all of your credits are going to transfer. So you don't even have to worry about that. And that's what's able to give you that junior standing or junior status. And if you are enrolled in an Associate Applied Science program, that's okay too. It just means that you may have some additional coursework to take to make sure that you meet your general education requirements. And so again, we'll come back to that. And so our partners include some online schools in American Public University System, Southern New Hampshire University System, and you all probably know them pretty well, University of Maryland Global Campus, and they all offer different benefits. And, you know, they're all unique. So you could click on any of those and learn more. And then our local schools, we have Coppin State, University of Baltimore, and then I mentioned earlier, UMBC, and we're looking to bring on Towson very soon. So if any of those schools are schools that you know you want to go to, you definitely want to talk with your advisor and learn more about how to join. And essentially, you're going to click on this partner school that you want to join. Courtney, could you click on UMBC as an example? So if you know you want to go to UMBC, you've talked to your advisor, you just scroll down and you see, oh, here's the amazing benefits. Oh, this is so exciting. Let's see, do I meet the eligibility requirements? I have my high school diploma. I'm in a degree program. I don't have more than 35 credits. I have over a 2.0. Okay, great, I'm in. I've met with my advisor. Okay, I'm ready to submit the acknowledgement form. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to your single sign-on that you use for your MyCCBC. And then once you're in, you'll be able to fill that out. It gives us permission to share your information with UMBC. And then from there, we're just going to wrap our arms around you. So that's how dual admissions will work. Stay tuned. I'm sure you're going to hear more about it. Not, I'm sure you will hear more about it. And of course, we're going to have an entire session for Transfer Tuesdays coming up dedicated to it, but I just wanted to make sure that we gave it some time today. And so now Courtney is going to talk about preparation.
Thank you, Anne. You would think after 2 years of unmuting and muting that I would manage to do that without leaving myself on mute. But I still have moments. So preparation, right? Some of you, this is your very first semester, you don't have any credits yet at all. Others of you, are going to have credits. Maybe you have AP credits, maybe you have credits from dual enrollment in high school, or maybe you weren't able to take ACDB in your last semester. But when you have 13 to 45 credits, it's the time to get out there. It's time to meet people, to talk with the recruiters during tabletop visits or at our transfer open houses. It's time to go on campus tours. And let me take a moment to discuss that. Open houses are a great way to get a broad overview of what the college is like. But we also recommend, especially if you're going to commute to campus, that you then schedule a campus tour during the weekday and that you make the commute to campus at a time that you think you would be making the commute to campus, finding a place to park, and seeing what campus is like when class is in session. Campuses can have a very different feel in the middle of the summer. To give you an idea, University of Maryland is large enough that it's its own zip code when it's in session, right? And so it has a very different feel in the summer when most of the students have gone home. You want to look at the transfer application and what are the deadlines for admissions, for financial aid, for scholarship, and for housing. Here at CCBC, we embraced you no matter what time you applied and made sure that you got on your way. Many universities and four-year colleges have deadlines that you have to meet. And if you don't meet them, you've missed those opportunities and you have to either wait till the next round of applications for scholarships, or you're no longer eligible for those scholarships as an example to begin with. So we really recommend that you create a timeline, that you do your FAFSA no later than February 14th, but we actually recommend that you do your FAFSA, your federal financial aid form, every October. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping track. And if you're not an organized person to begin with, I'm not, you want to start putting things on a calendar or in your phone, some type of app so you can keep track of what you need to be doing. So as part of what you would need to know as you go through and you're preparing is using DegreeWorks. And if it hasn't already been introduced in your class, it will be. But DegreeWorks is a website where you can actually see the classes that you need to complete at CCBC, and you can actually plan out what you're going to take to meet those requirements all the way through to graduation. And so it's really key that you use DegreeWorks to its fullest extent. And I'm going to pull up my buddy SpongeBob. He is not going to have any classes in here because he is a fake student. But if he had classes, we would be able to see them. And I'm just going to take a quick moment. Like I said, I know that you're going to get this in your class. But just take a quick moment and show you. We would actually be able to see the requirements for your class and all the different options. So it's really key that you look and see like, okay, well, what's it the university want me to take? Maybe I'm in a program where they want ethics, and goodness, there's philosophy 240, which is ethics. So I'm going to pick that for my arts and humanities. So it's key. What I tell students is it's okay to be general studies, but we want to make sure that your general studies, that we're picking those classes based on the career and the major goal that you have at the university, because general studies for a psychology major will look very different than general studies for a business major. Okay. So we also have something in Maryland called ArtSys, or the articulation system. And right now, ArtSys is getting a bit of a makeover, so we don't use it quite as regularly as we did before COVID. But what you can do with arts is you can research majors and programs. You can find general education requirements. You can look at the transferability of courses. You can follow recommended patterns or programs of study. And you can actually create unofficial transcript evaluations. So I would say give us another couple months and then go explore, and you can actually just search, web search for ArtSys, ARTSYS, and go right in and look through and see what all of the options are for that. Sorry, let me switch screens. This is what happens when you have two monitors. So you've hit the 45 credit mark, and many of you are thinking, why is she talking to me about this? Because it's going to go by very quickly, and we want you to make sure that you've planned. When you hit that 45 credit mark, you should be applying to 3 to 5 schools. One of our former faculty members actually used to say that it's like a date. They want to be wanted. They want to know that they are popular, so you want to make sure that you've done that. You also want to make sure that you have options. So you want to have your dream schools, the schools you're relatively confident you could get into, as well as your safety schools. That October, you want to add your transfer schools codes to your FAFSA. Even if you're still at CCBC, you can have up to 10 schools listed on your FAFSA. Many private schools are going to require the CSS profile, and we will have a Transfer Tuesday coming up that is just about financial aid. So you want to be on the lookout for that. And then you want to apply for scholarships. And it's really important, while we've given you some suggested deadlines here, again, these may be very much earlier or later depending on the school. So you really need to look. You need to request your official transcript to be sent from here to the university that you're looking to apply. And that transcript is part of your application. So your application is not completed until they have received your CCBC transcript. If you've attended another school, maybe you went to Archbishop Curley and you took a class at Anne Arundel Community College as a dual enrollment, you have to send that transcript from Anne Arundel Community College as well. So you need to send transcripts from all of the colleges and universities you've attended, as well as any place that you've earned credit for prior learning. So CLEP, Dante's. If you have AP credits, they're not going to take them off your CCBC transcript. You'll have to have them sent directly to the universities that you're applying to. Again, it's super important that you review. We can't stress enough the timelines and the admissions requirements for your financial aid and for scholarships. Once you receive your offer, you're going to compare them. You need to see how many credits transferred, how many credits will you have left, and then what's going to be the cost out of pocket for you. Most students are going to have some type of out-of-pocket cost rather, when they go to the university. Even if you were on a full Pell Grant at CCBC and didn't pay for anything, chances are you're going to have to take out a loan or need additional scholarships or pay out of pocket for credits and tuition and fees at the university. So keep that in mind and make sure that you're meeting all of those deadlines and that you've submitted any required documents. So it's really important once you do your application that you check your email regularly, because many of the schools will correspond with you through email and then through whatever their new student portal is once you have accepted admissions. Usually your admissions deposit will then go towards your tuition and fees for that first semester. If you just choose not to go to that school after paying that deposit, it is generally non-refundable. So you want to be very careful with that. So some final semester reminders here. If you think when you're getting ready to get close, check with an advisor. They're here for you. Apply for graduation. We don't know that you're done. Students change their majors when they hit 50 credits. They find a new calling, and we don't know that you found that new calling, so we don't automatically award you a degree. Make sure that once you've found that school that you're going to, that you've accepted your admission, that you send that final transcript from CCBC so your last semester grades and courses can transfer. and inquire about orientation, advising, and registration. Now, the really cool thing is if you've been doing dual admissions work with one of our partner schools with Degrees to Succeed, you probably will already have someone in advising that you've been connected with, and it will be a more seamless transition for you. All right, Anne?
So that's a lot. So that's the take a step back, see the 360-degree view of what is involved. And so that's why we want to set you up now so you have a sense of what's to come. So in terms of things to know as it relates to credits, so we mentioned general education earlier. So general education are those required courses that all students have to take regardless of major. The number of general education courses required varies depending upon the type of degree and the type of program that you're doing. So general education courses from CCBC will transfer as general education courses to any public college or university in the state of Maryland. That's not always the case to private or independent colleges, as well as colleges outside of the state of Maryland. So in those instances, you would always want to, get some pre-transfer advising, asking for what they call a pre-transfer credit audit to see how your courses will transfer. A lot of our independent and private schools in Maryland are pretty generous. And so, we're not discouraging you to look at those as options, but just being aware of that possibility. You just want to be armed with information. That is our goal. We don't want you to feel like, if only I had known this, you might have done things differently. And so at least 60, which is typically the number of credits it takes to graduate with an associate's degree. Sometimes there might be a couple of more, but never any less. And no more than 70 credits of general education elective and major courses completed at CCBC for your Associate of Arts or Associate of Science will be transferable to public colleges or universities in Maryland towards your bachelor's degree. And the difference between college versus university just depends upon the types of degrees they offer. So schools that only offer bachelor's degrees are referred to as colleges. Whereas schools that offer bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctorate degrees are considered universities, because I know we use those both, and so we can't assume that you necessarily know that. So just for your information. In terms of transfer versus career programs, if no one has ever told you, there is a difference. So if you're intending to transfer, if you know you definitely want to get a bachelor's degree, then you really want to be looking at pre-baccalaureate degree programs. So these are things like AA programs, AS programs, AFA programs, ASE programs, AAT programs. So teaching, engineering, fine arts, Associate of Arts, Associate of Science. They're all highly transferable degree programs that really are designed to be the first 2 years of your baccalaureate program. It's designed to mimic that. And so they're specifically designed so that all coursework will transfer. You should consult ARTSIS as well as work with your academic advisor, and they're going to look at the course catalog for the particular institution you're looking at the sending, that's CCBC, and the receiving institution for current transfer information. And so, we've gotten better with making this information much more transparent, but we do have resources and we have trained staff here at CCBC to help you. And again, if you do dual admissions through Degrees to Succeed, you're going to get that extra hand holding because you'll have the advisor from the 4-year who's going to be counseling you on what classes to take alongside of your CCBC advisor. So building on that, career programs, so those are the AAS programs, or Associate of Applied Sciences. They're really designed for you to be able to graduate and then seek employment right away. So you're definitely going to be employable if you're doing an AAS program. And as a result, they tend to have much more occupational-based courses, so skills-based courses, rather than general education courses. And so many times these programs are really designated as AAS degrees in fields which also offer baccalaureate degrees. And so this is where you really want to do your research to figure out. So I'm thinking of human services as an example, Courtney, and I know this is your area with human services. There are often baccalaureate degrees that you can get in human services, but right now we only have an AAS. And so we rely heavily on what are called articulation agreements. And so we have spelled out course by course what you should be taking here at CCBC to be able to transfer to those schools that will accept our program so that you can continue into the bachelor's degree. Because at times it's just setting you up for entry level. And so really figuring out when you're going to enter the workforce versus when you might come back to school might determine whether it's better to do general studies or an AAS degree. And this is where you're going to want to work very closely with your advisor. And then we have compiled some of the most common resources for transfer, and they're available on the Online Transfer Center. This is really our repository for all things transfer, and it has a really short URL to remember. So if you just remember ccbcmd.edu/transfer, you can always get to all these things that are linked here. So, you know, you might remember, oh, I need to request my transcript. How do I do that? If you just remember to get to the transfer page, you'll see that's linked there. ArtSys, if you remember ArtSys but don't know where to get it, go to the transfer page. If you're doing some research, because remember that's that exploring phase, you may want to check out our Historically Black College and Universities Research Guide or our Maryland Transfer Research Guide. So these are guides that we've worked with our librarians to curate information on HBCUs in the region, as well as all of the Maryland universities and colleges. There is a Maryland Higher Education Commission transfer guide. So if you really want to dig in deep, we have that available for you. If you're looking for transfer application fee waivers, because they can start to add up. I mean, they can be as cheap as I think $35 for your transfer application fee, but up to over $100. And so if you're planning to apply to 3 to 5 schools because you're not going to do dual admissions, because you're not exactly sure where you want to go and you want to, you know, branch out, then you may want to look at the NACAC or the Common App fee waiver. And so we've linked that for you. And then you have College Board, College Source, Peterson's Guide, all additional resources, particularly if you're looking outside of the state of Maryland, if you want to get more on rankings, those kinds of things. And then finally, if you get the opportunity and you were invited to join Phi Theta Kappa, you absolutely have to join. And so now it's an invitation only, and it's based on your GPA, and it will cost you money to join, but it is the best money you will spend. Remember how I said I went to school in Hawaii? Well, that's because I had a Phi Theta Kappa scholarship. It paid for half of my tuition. And so that's one of the best investments you can make for yourself. And many of our local schools also have Phi Theta Kappa scholarships. So for example, UMBC, they have a nice stackable Phi Theta Kappa scholarship. And so just something to be thinking about, again, long-term, get good grades, you qualify for more merit scholarships. More scholarships you have, the less money you have to pay out of pocket, or the fewer loans you have to take out.
So talking about money, again, I want to stress that we're going to have a Transfer Tuesday session in this year that is just about financial aid. And Anne and I are not financial aid experts, but every year you're going to complete the FAFSA. Okay, October 1st, actually, you can already do it for next year for CCBC, right? So just keep that in mind. And again, you want to look at each institution's page and look at their financial aid deadline and their scholarship deadline. And you need to look at the costs, their processes, all of that. Okay, I can't stress that enough. What is the CSS profile? The CSS profile is something that many private schools use to apply for non-federal financial aid. So it's often what they use to see if you're eligible for their college's scholarships. And it looks at a comprehensive view of your family's financials. So it's going to look at everything. I mean, you're going to report what kind of income you expect to make, what kind of healthcare expenses you might have, you name it, you enter it. And so it can be a little complicated. So you want to make sure that you allow enough time to complete that if it's requested. Many of you have already done the FAFSA. Just remember that the federal Pell Grant is based on need. So it's based on your family's estimated contribution to your education. There are federal direct loans, direct student loans, both subsidized, which is based on financial need, and unsubsidized, and then direct Parent Plus loans. So many of you may be aware of this now because you have loans here at CCBC. In addition, many schools offer federal work study. CCBC does too. So you can actually work on campus if you're eligible and have a job and you're working on campus and getting paid. So these are all things to look for also as options when you get ready to transfer. For the Maryland Higher Education Commission, what we affectionately call MHEC, they offer need-based grants, legislative scholarships, and career and occupational-based scholarships and grants, all for Maryland residents, and most awards have a March 1st application deadline. So you want to get on the Maryland Higher Education Commission website and take a peek throughout the year. And we usually post those as well when they come up on our social media. Ann? You're muted, Ann.
So these are the most common scholarships, but they have specific criteria and a process required. So we have the 2+2 transfer scholarship. This is for degree completers, associate degree completers. So this is specifically for community college students only. It's designed to support transfer students from Maryland community colleges to attend state. So it has to be a public four-year institution, and you have to have demonstrated financial need, and you have to get your FAFSA done by March 1st. And that's always the case. Like, you don't want to be missing out on opportunities for, any type of state aid, because once that money runs out, it's out. Then we have the University System of Maryland Regents Scholarship Program. Again, that's for just schools within the University System of Maryland. It's designed to support exceptional community college students who've earned their degree. There's a very limited number of full cost of in-state tuition fees, living expenses, and book stipend for full-time students. And so we love to see our students apply and get awarded that, but it is very competitive. So again, it's all about now getting the mindset right so that you can get really good grades, get really good recommendations, and get some of these great scholarships. And so institutional scholarships, so these are scholarships and financial aid that come from the transfer institution you're going to go to. So many of the colleges are going to offer transfer specific scholarships. That if you're going to a transfer fair, one of your questions should always be, do you offer transfer scholarships? And hopefully the answer to that question is yes. Whenever I'm sitting down with a student and we're looking at a school, I always type in transfer scholarship into the search bar because it tells me a lot about a school. If they have a dedicated page to transfer scholarships, I feel really good about that. One of our best partners for transfer scholarships is University of Baltimore. They have some really generous merit-based, need-based transfer scholarships, and inevitably those funds go don't get completely used up every year. And so, this is important for you to know. Scholarships in general may require a specific number of credits or the completion of an associate degree. Awards can be merit-based, need-based, or program-specific. So this is where you doing your research will come in. You almost always will have to have either a FAFSA or a CSS profile because they have to have a way to evaluate you to determine your eligibility. And so part of that is just making sure you do your paperwork, making sure you do it by the deadline, and having everything that you need in place. Because sometimes you're going to have to do an essay, you might have to get a letter of recommendation. And so, you know, putting yourself together a checklist of what's needed, you know, for the different requirements. But in the end, you know, it's all about the money. And if you can reduce the amount you have to pay out of pocket or the loans that you have to take, that's a really good thing. And many schools, this is a bummer, and hopefully this will change, but you should always ask, they only award institutional aid, so aid from their school. So they award other financial aid and scholarships, but not their own aid in the fall. So that means they award it for the academic year. So if you're transferring in the spring, you could miss out on money. So always ask if they award institutional aid all year round. Or if you're transferring in the spring, asked if they award aid in the spring. So for example, Towson University does not award aid in the spring, which we're trying to get them to change that because it's a problem and we don't want you to miss out. And then finally, we have private scholarships. So these are scholarships that you would apply for separately. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but just a sampling of what is available. So you really, like I said, want to get spend some time getting organized, do your research, you know, because the eligibility requirements are really going to range. But at the end of the day, the more time you spend and invest in this, you know, hopefully the less money out of your pocket. And so I've been very impressed by what some of our students have been able to do. And I want to see more of our students apply for, you know, the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship, the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society Scholarship, like I got. Like, you know, some of these can be quite generous. And so, you know, knowing that they exist now is helpful so that when it comes time, you're ready and you know what to do.
Yeah, as we go on to the next slide, I just want to explain too that Jack Kent Cooke is a national scholarship. I have had two former advisees who have received that scholarship, and one is finishing medical school and is getting ready to do his residency, and the other just started her doctorate at Morgan. So, and they, you know, both were, you know, came through CCBC as a start to school. They hadn't gone anywhere before, so you can do it. They set goals and they met them. So just some simple things to know. Scholarship amounts vary, right? It could be $100, it could be $10,000, but any amount is better than not having it at all. Some scholarships are merit-based, again, based on your grades. So anytime we say merit-based, the better your grades, the more likely you are to get those. And others, of course, are based on financial need, and they're looking at your information on the FAFSA or that CSS profile. Many scholarships are geared towards underrepresented groups, including women and other minorities, looking at non-traditional, so students who aren't 18 to 20, looking at folks who have served in the military, whether they're current, active, or veteran. And also there may be scholarships available through your parents' place of employment. So for example, if you have a parent who works at Johns Hopkins, they have a fantastic process for helping to fund college education for their employees' children. So you need to ask, right? Here are some basic tools that you can use, but honestly, with the advent of Google and other search engines, you can search for scholarship search tools and you can find all kinds of things, but there are lots of them out there. So you just want to look at that. And then we do recommend that you look at the net price calculator and see what really do they expect that school will cost you. So just keep that in mind. I know we've thrown a lot of information at you, so I just want to do a shameless plug here. We do have these upcoming transfer events, so continuing Transfer Tuesdays, as well as our transfer fairs, which will be in a month, so the week of October 17th at Catonsville on Monday, Essex on Tuesday, Dundalk on Wednesday, and Ong's Mills on Thursday. They are from 11 to 2. And if you're on social media, you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We promise we won't follow you back. I'm joking. I always tell students that it's not that kind of a page. It is a page. It's not you're not friending someone. So please follow us to get more information. So this is our contact information. This would be a good time to take your cell phone out and snap a picture real quick to see who you might want to get in touch with. If you have like really detailed questions about transfer. And I know that we've gone over in the time that your class had allotted for us. So I'm going to turn it back to your instructors to see if we have time to answer questions or if they need to collect them and send them to us.
Any questions? All right, make sure you have the contact. I will also put this with more information on Brightspace. Did you have a question?
I just want to know if I can be sent the PowerPoint.
One of the students asking if they can be sent their PowerPoint.
Sure, I think what we'll probably do is send the recording and the PowerPoint to you and to the other professor who was on for class, and we'll make sure that you can share that out then through your Brightspace.
Okay, thank you. Yes. That I will explain. That they're asking what's the difference between financial aid and scholarship.
The scholarships are a type of financial aid.
Yeah, when we get to chapter 9, paying for college, we'll talk about that. But yes, Courtney's absolutely right. Scholarship is a type of financial aid that you don't have to return the money. There are different types like work study and loans and then scholarships. We're going to talk about them in depth for sure.
And there looks like, is it Simisola? You have a question?
Yes, hi. I also put in the chat, but is academic counselor different from transfer counselor?
No, so all of the academic advisors should be able to answer general transfer questions, but there's some of us who have a little bit more training.
Okay, thank
And
you.
so
And also,
so you can see who the folks are on each campus on your screen.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions, anyone? All right, seems like there are no more questions from my class.
Well, I just want to thank you all for taking some time out of your class tonight. We hope that this was informative. We really encourage you to come to future events. I know it's hard if you're taking an evening class. We also encourage you to try to put the transfer fairs on your schedule. So maybe you can take a lunch break and come over and visit campus and make that first walkthrough and see what all your options are.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Courtney.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you very much.
Y'all have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening. Happy semester.